Two armies stood watching. They faced each other across a wide valley. This was the valley of Elah. On one side were the Philistines. They were strong and confident. They had come to fight. On the other side were the Israelites. They were camped on their hill. They were filled with worry. They waited. This kind of waiting is hard. It is a battle of nerves before the real fight. The air was thick with tension. No one moved. The days passed slowly in this standoff. Each army looked at the other. The Philistines had many soldiers. They had good weapons. The Israelites also had soldiers, but their hearts were not as strong. They looked down at the valley. They looked up at the Philistine camp. They wondered what would happen next. This waiting game could not last forever. Someone had to make a move. The silence of the valley was heavy. It was a silence full of unasked questions. This place, the Valley of Elah, became a stage. It was a stage for a story that people would tell for thousands of years. But the soldiers there did not know this. They only knew the heat of the sun. They knew the dust. They knew the growing fear. They were ordinary men caught in a moment of history. They were waiting for something to break the deadlock. The hills watched. The sky watched. The world seemed to hold its breath. The problem was simple. Neither side wanted to attack first. To attack meant crossing the valley. It meant climbing the enemy's hill. This was a weak position. The army that stayed on its hill had the advantage, so they waited. The Philistines were patient. They had a plan. They had something the Israelites did not expect. Or perhaps they had someone? This deadlock was about to be broken in a very dramatic way. It was a classic military problem, waiting for an unconventional solution. Then he came. From the Philistine camp, a champion emerged. His name was Goliath of Gath. He was not an ordinary soldier. He was a giant. He stood over 9 feet tall. His armor was made of bronze. It shone in the sun. He carried a spear with a tip made of iron. The spear was like a weaver's beam. A soldier walked before him carrying his massive shield. He was a terrifying sight. He was built for one kind of fight, close, brutal combat. Goliath walked down into the valley. He stood between the two armies. His voice was loud. It boomed across the hills. He shouted his challenge to the Israelites. "Why have you come out to draw up for battle?" he roared. "Am I not a Philistine, and are you not servants of Saul? Choose a man for yourselves and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I overcome him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us." This was his daily taunt. For 40 days, Goliath repeated his challenge. Every morning and every evening he came out. He paraded himself. He mocked the God of Israel. He filled the Israelite camp with dread. No soldier dared to accept his challenge. They looked at his size. They saw his heavy weapons. They heard his fearsome voice, and they were paralyzed by fear. Their courage melted away like snow in the sun. The entire army felt helpless. Their spirit was broken. This was psychological warfare at its most effective. The fear was like a disease. It spread from soldier to soldier. King Saul, their leader, was also dismayed. He offered great rewards to any man who would fight Goliath. He offered riches, his daughter in marriage, and freedom for his family, but no one stepped forward. The giant seemed unbeatable. He was too big, too strong, too well armed. The Israelites saw only the obvious. They saw an impossible obstacle. They did not see what was not obvious. They did not see the giant's hidden weaknesses. Into this scene of despair walked David. He was just a young man. He was a shepherd from Bethlehem. He was not a soldier. He had come to the camp to bring food for his older brothers. They were soldiers in Saul's army. David was small. He was ruddy and handsome. He did not look like a warrior. He looked like someone who spent his days with sheep. But David had a different kind of strength. It was a strength that came from within. David heard Goliath's mocking words. He saw the fear in the eyes of the Israelite soldiers. He was surprised. He was indignant. "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine," he asked, "that he should defy the armies of the living God?" David did not see an unbeatable giant. He saw an enemy of his people and his faith. He had faced danger before. He had protected his flock from lions and bears. He had not done it with a sword or spear. He had done it with courage and with his sling and with his trust in God. His brothers were angry with him. They thought he was arrogant. They thought he was just a boy looking for excitement. But David was serious. He went to King Saul. He told the king he would fight Goliath. Saul looked at David. He saw a youth, not a trained warrior. "You are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him," Saul said, "for you are but a youth, and he has been a man of war from his youth." Saul saw only David's apparent disadvantages, but David persisted. He explained his experience. "Your servant used to keep sheep for his father," David said, "and when there came a lion or a bear and took a lamb from the flock, I went after him and struck him and delivered it out of his mouth." David's confidence was not in his own size or strength. It was in his skill. It was in his experience of overcoming threats that seemed larger than himself. He knew that giants could fall. He reframed his past challenges as preparation for this very moment. This was his unique qualification. Saul finally agreed. He offered David his own armor, his bronze helmet, his coat of mail. David put them on, but they were too big, they were too heavy. He could not move properly. "I cannot go with these," David said, "for I have not tested them." So he took them off. This was a crucial decision. David understood something important. He could not fight Goliath on Goliath's terms. He had to fight his own way. He chose not to be a lesser version of the giant. Instead, David chose his familiar tools. He took his shepherd's staff in his hand. He went to the stream. He chose 5 smooth stones. He put them in his shepherd's bag. And with his sling in his hand, he approached the Philistine. Goliath saw him coming. He saw a boy with a stick. He was insulted. "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks?" Goliath cursed David. He promised to feed David's flesh to the birds and beasts. Goliath saw weakness. He did not see the speed or the precision of a slinger. David was not afraid of Goliath's words. He replied with courage. "You come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a javelin," David declared, "but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." David then ran quickly toward the battle line to meet Goliath. He did not wait. He did not hesitate. He used his agility, his speed. This was the opposite of Goliath, who was weighed down by heavy armor, perhaps with poor eyesight, expecting a different kind of fight. As he ran, David reached into his bag. He took out a stone. He put it in his sling. He whirled the sling. He let the stone fly. It struck Goliath on his forehead. The stone sank into his forehead. The giant stumbled. He fell face down on the ground. The small shepherd boy had defeated the mighty warrior. He did it not with might, but with wit. He did it with courage. He did it by using his supposed disadvantages as strengths. The Israelites shouted with joy. The Philistines fled in terror. The battle was won. The lesson still echoes. Courage, ingenuity, and faith can overcome even the most overwhelming odds. Hope is a powerful weapon.